Today I'm gonna be going over this R9 270X, which I got off eBay for only 18 bucks. So the problem with it is that it was artifacting. As you can see here, there's two bars on screen, and when you boot into the BIOS it gives this weird kind of hazy thing, but then it ends up with two bars of static. You can actually see four bars right there, and this is an indication that the video memory has failed. That's what that little prompt says. So this was actually very similar to what this guy found, Tech Cemetery. Great YouTuber, I recommend him. His channel is in the description, and this video specifically. But what this shows is the different memory channels and which one corresponds to like a certain bar on the screen. So now that we know what the problem is, let's get to fixing it. Naturally, since we have a memory issue, I got some new memory off AliExpress. Here it is. And now I just have to disassemble this card. It's quite a simple design. 4 screws hold on the heatsink, which I'm just removing right now. Other than that, there's no like supporting screws or anything, so you can just lift it off, disconnect the fan connector, or try to at least, and then we're ready to go. So now I'm applying flux to the memory chip, which I need to take off. You can see I aim it at that one, but then with this shot, I'm actually taking off a different one. So that's why there are two bars in the previous image, or rather, four, because I had to take off two memory chips. But now I am applying flux, or I mean I was, to the pad, and I'm just cleaning it up with some solder. I'm using leaded solder on this just to reduce the melting temperature and make it a little bit easier to get all of the excess blobs off of those pads. And now I'm using a little bit of wick here just to clean it up all the way. And again, I did do this twice, actually way more than 2 times because I messed up a little bit. So now I'm just cleaning it off with a Q-tip, both of the pads. And now I'm attempting to clean this chip off. This is not the failed one, this was just me messing up. I had to use the hot air and some flux because the solder was just not being cooperative. But after I heated the chip up a little bit, you can see the solder comes right off, which is great. So now I can clean the chip off a little bit and we're ready to reball it. So as you can see, I'm using a stencil here, and I gotta get it lined up precisely like that because I'm gonna put solder paste on it now. So this is lead solder paste, and there's really not that much to say. I'm just using a little tool to spread it over the top and fill in all those holes, so to speak. And you want to get it pretty even, and also you don't want the solder paste to be too wet because if it has too much flux, it can mess up the heating, which is happening now. So I'm using my hot air soldering station, and you can see I'm just slowly moving it across to make all that solder turn into nice solder balls. And now the chip should be ready. Now all I have to do is just reheat the chip one more time to get all the solder balls nice and centered on the pads, and it'll be ready to reinstall. So you can see here they look nice. They're all round and even, so that's great. So this chip is now ready to reinstall. And this was the tricky part. You can see that this little pad, which the chip goes onto, is not actually the same size as the chip. If you look up to that other one in the top of the screen, it's a little bit bigger. So this took me a long time to do, and you can see it's just very painstaking with tweezers. So there's minutes and minutes of footage, but I edited it out, and I couldn't show the actual reinstallation process. But here the chip is now. I'm just cleaning it off. Now I'm just gonna put a little bit of thermal paste onto the card, plug in the fan connector, clean out a little dust bunny, and we can begin to reassemble it. Well, we're basically done. It only has 4 screws, so I'm just gonna reinstall them into the card, making sure to do an even star pattern as I tighten it so that we don't overstress the silicon die. And now I can test it. So it's connected to this little computer, and The boot time is a little bit long just because of this motherboard. So a little bit of an agonizing moment, but you can see the light turned on and hey presto, it's working. So that's a successful repair. So if you like this content, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later.